So you quite literally had a single shot at this exam. So the pressure was quite high, right? Because you had to make sure that you were preparing effectively because
To go to the USA, it's here in Sri Lanka, being a government officer, you need to get the approval and the process. It's very difficult. So it's very challenging because I have only, one chance per year to go abroad like that, being a very highly doing a highly critical job here. So sometimes I had to go outstations for like site visits. That time I know the daily target I cannot meet, but the weekly target I somehow managed to more than 10%. That way I completed within 3 months.
hi Dhamika.
Hi Wasim. How are you?
Good. So thanks a lot for making time for this interview, Dhamika. I know you are a very busy professional. You work in power generation, right? In a managerial role, and you also have site visits. You also have people reporting to you, and we had to coordinate this interview. We were scheduled to do this last week, but something came up. But finally, we have the opportunity to go over your exam preparation journey, and I'm really excited about it. Just to give the viewers an overview of why your scenario is so interesting and different. Well, first of all, you're internationally trained. I have tons of students who are internationally trained. I have helped tons and tons of students with F electrical preparation, P power preparation. Um, you have been out of school for a while. That is also not that unique, right? I would say about 50% of the students who are in my program, F electrical and P power, are at least 5 years out of school. In your case, it's much more than that. The more interesting thing about your scenario is that you actually had to travel to the US, right? Just to take the exam and attend a conference and whatnot. So you quite literally had a single shot at this exam. So the pressure was quite high, right? Because you had to make sure that you were preparing effectively because in case it didn't work out, which was highly unlikely because you were putting in so much level of effort going through the program, then it would have probably set you back by another year, right? And it is a big deal. So help me first of all understand your motivation when you what's the main driver for your F exam preparation, and when you graduated, how you realized it's going to be beneficial, and how you went about preparing for it.
Yes, Wasim, I think you said everything correct. I did my undergraduate. I graduated in almost 20 years ago. Now in 2020, and then
Sorry,
now I'm a
2020? No, when did you
yeah,
grad?
no, no, no.
2000.
2004. Now it's
2004.
2024. The gap is 20
Yes.
years. Exactly correct.
Right.
20-year
2004,
gap.
yeah.
So a long
Mhm.
time ago. And then I'm a professional. I was working as a power plant manager and it's very busy with my works. But I know that getting this qualification fundamental FE examination is very useful. And then I determined myself that I want to do it. In fact, no, I booked my exam. It was held in last of August 21st. That is in the USA. I live in Sri Lanka. As you rightly pointed out, because to go to the USA, it's here in Sri Lanka, being a government officer, you need to get the approval and the process. It's very difficult. So it's a very challenging because I have only, one chance per year to go abroad like that, being a very highly doing a highly critical job here. So I have all those in my mind. It's very challenging. Then, but I knew that now, in fact, it's almost like 4 months before I did my exam. That was in like beginning of May. I then started researching. Researching online to find effective resources. For my preparation to this FE examination. Then I discovered that. Your 4 month the bundle course was ideal for my need. This is after my research everything because I didn't have much time. And then I registered for that in 12th of May, your course. And then from 12th of May, mid of May, exam is on August August 21st. So like just about 3 months. Then very I can remember very valuable that your course had. Maybe we can discuss later also. Your course had this. It shows the percentage of the progress, everything, and also the well before just after my registration, and you had with me a one-to-one discussion. There you gave a very valid point for me, some motivation or the whole system, and how should I be prepared for these 3 months. You very rightly said, Dhammike, you have to complete at least 10% every week. This is what you said. That then that set me a target, exactly. Every week 10%. I did that. Then so when I left the country in beginning of August, I almost completed 100%. I'm quite confident. Because I made sure that 10% is reached. Sometimes it's a little more than that. The course, the online, it shows the percentage in progress that really motivate and kept me on schedule. That is very important. This thing. And as you rightly said, because I have only one chance, I have to go to the United States, and there, US and Sri Lanka, the time difference is 12 hours, and that's very challenging, because the time there is sleeping time here. It's almost like night time in Sri Lanka. It's very difficult to adapt. It took me few days, a little few days to adjust to this the time difference, and I made sure that I arrive in the United States a little earlier so that I can be better prepared. And so that is about that. And then the preparation. So with like 3 months, I in fact I purchased that your study guide and the three practice examination books. And apart from that, the NCEES, they had given their reference book. I printed out. It was available free, printed out. Always I had that hard copy with me. Only the relevant sections for my our electrical and computer FE examination. And also, I mean, although I had the hard copy, I made sure that I always referred this online copy as well, because in exam, what we have is the online digital copy. So then and I remember when I attended your on-demand course, that you had a very important advice you are giving to everybody. You see, after you explaining the theory, you put up a question there, and you are requested us to pose, and you do it yourself. I did it for every question. I'll tell you, because then what I did was, okay, I posed that question. I tried myself. You have given already the background, the knowledge. I post it, and I also make sure during answering to refer the reference handbook also. Like by the time I completed all the 3 months, I pretty sure that I should have gone this reference handbook many times. Actually, at the exam, I didn't have to revise much, because I can remember all this equation and everything. Maybe only few occasions I looked at it, because it was very challenging at the time. For FE examination, because I had faced many examinations in my life up to just before FE examination in the United States. What I feel is it's very challenging, particularly the time. If you are not prepared enough with all the because the moment you look you see the question, your mind should click the way how to solve it. And if you had done similar type of question, like in the practice examination books, I have completed all the questions. And remember, believe me, before, when I was in the United States, I think 3 or 4 days from before, I was doing the same questions again and again. And also I did another thing very that also helped me a lot. The NCEES also, they have online practice examination. I purchased that was about 50 questions. I reserved it. I didn't do it. I reserved it in the last moment. I think 2 days or one day before the examination, or no, 2 days, I think, before the examination, I started doing that. I think maybe 2 or 3 times I did that. That also helpful. And by that time, I have done all the three practice examination books and your study guide. This is how I prepared. But the challenge is, because I have only one time. I have to travel all the way so many kilometers to the United States and do the exam. If I fail, I have to come again next year to do it, and then then my getting P license or preparing for the next milestone of getting preparing for P examination will get delayed by another 1 year. So very challenging. All this were in my mind, and but I managed myself every day. In fact, I committed myself, and you gave me very good advice, Dhammika. Okay, try to delegate your workload to other people. In fact, I did exactly the same thing, because my fellow engineer, if they were interviewed you, they would definitely say that their workload have gone up. But that's how, I mean, so they also did that. But I managed. I fully concentrated. So I every day I spent a lot of time, but the 10% target was in my mind. So sometimes I had to go outstations for like site visits. That time I the daily target I cannot meet, but the weekly target I somehow managed to more than 10%. That way I completed within 3 months. But I don't recommend that for everybody doing within 3 months. It's very challenging. A lot of commitment is there that was required, but you need more than that. Then you can be very comfortable. And also, Wasim, I should mention here the I mean the fundamentals, like whole exam is all about fundamentals. We are being tested for everything. What I learned. All those undergraduate, even other courses after that. My experience. I mean, very useful, and almost all areas are tested. In this FE examination. What I really some important aspect, that the manner in which you did the training, you made the fundamental, the grasp very easier for us, so we can easily grasp the concepts. Sometimes, I'll tell you an example. I remember, when I was in the undergraduate, I found a little difficult on this circuit analysis side. All this Thevenin's theorem, Norton theorem. Believe me, after studying your course, that helped. That made it very easy and very useful as well. I'm thinking how, because now all this the current direction and everything. First, you explain very nicely. It's very methodical approach. That is very important. Now I understand how these knowing these fundamentals, in a very methodical way, you can, you don't have to worry. You can do a lot. I mean, it's very useful in our practice as professional. I know, and being a power plant manager, I was doing maintenance also for quite some time. These are very useful. These fundamentals. So thank you very much, Wasim, for your for your the way. I mean, it's a great service for everybody.
Appreciate that. Thanks a lot, Dhammike. It was great having you in the program. And I really appreciate your very detailed overview of your preparation. And there's so many angles to it. If I can just quickly summarize, the most important thing that stands out to me was the fact that you had to get it done, right? Because of all the overhead that was associated in terms of getting time, the cost, I'm sure, as well, making arrangements in your schedule. And then you mentioned that for somebody in your position to leave your country, there's a lot of coordination that's required. So I think all of those factors made the stakes higher and higher and higher and made this initiative a lot more critical. The second thing that you did was you absorbed all of that pressure, right? And you channeled it in an effective manner where you gained more clarity, more focus. Okay. And not a lot of people are able to do that, I'll be honest, because a lot of times what happens is that when people feel that, okay, I have to get this done because this depends on that, then that depends on this, and so on, they get overwhelmed and they basically paralyze. They're like, okay, you know what, now is not the right time, there's so much going on in my life, right? So I'll do it perfectly when there is a scenario that is conducive, right? When I have tons of time on my hand. But trust me, based on my observation, there is never a perfect time. When you are in school, you have your final exams going on. When you have graduated, either you're looking for work, which itself is a full-time job, or if you have a full-time job that is going to keep you busy. If you start a new job, you're getting used to a new job, right? You're maybe moving places, you are at certain place in your personal life and whatnot, right? And if you have already progressed in your career, you probably have family responsibilities, higher professional responsibilities. So there is never a right time. You have to make time, and you did that. You took my advice. It seems that I'm great. I'm actually very impressed that you converted all of the input that I provided you into actionable items. When I suggested you, and I make this recommendation to every single student, okay, I have a script that I go through, practically speaking, because these are best practices. I tell my students, okay, engage with your supervisor, engage with your employer, let them know that you're taking this project on, preparing for the FE exam, the PE exam. A lot of employers are very, very supportive. They do actually reimburse for the exam preparation cost and whatnot, and they may be able to, if not reduce your responsibilities, at least give you some flexibility, either working from home or working on projects of your own preference, things that you can get done easily, right? So that type of input and support can be helpful. And the other level of support that you really need, probably even more important, is within your household, right? I mean, if you have kids, if you have family responsibilities, negotiating some of those responsibilities, negotiating some of the social commitments, negotiating some of engagements with your friends and other happenings in your life, and pulling back from them without disrupting too much, right? So that is a big takeaway, I think. The other thing that you emphasized a couple of times is setting a weekly target, right? Even when you got busy with work outside, and you had to do field visits and trips and maintenance and troubleshooting and whatever came your way, if you missed a day, it was not a big deal. You looked at the big picture view in terms of week, right? And I gave you a target to complete 10% of my course per week, and I would get the job done in about 3 months. And that's exactly what you did. And you also made sure that you were focusing on conceptual, theoretical, fundamental understanding while doing a bunch of practice as well. Some students find it easier, and I think it's a shortcut way, that you decide that just give me a bunch of practice problems, I'm going to hammer those problems, and hopefully something similar is going to come up on the exam. I don't think that is an effective way. If your understanding is based on foundation, and to be honest, deep inside, we ourselves know that I might have passed the exam, but to be honest, if 6 months later somebody tests me on it, I'll probably fail. Why? Because I sort of crammed for it. I sort of just, reverse engineered a bunch of equations. I just did bunch of brute force practice. I'd never really understood the concepts. Correct? In your case, I could see the smile on your face and the pride in your voice when you were saying that understanding Thevenin and Norton was so much fun because you can apply it at your work. Now, even 6 months later, somebody asks you about what Thevenin is, you'd be able to explain that. Take a random circuit with a bunch of resistors and multiple power sources, and I can convert all of that for you into a single voltage source and a single resistor, right? And off you go. Correct? So that level of confidence only comes when you go in depth. And that's my mission, basically, to help students when they're preparing for their FE electrical, to increase the level of their understanding, stuff that they might have already forgotten from their undergraduate or they never learned properly. And focusing on fundamentals, I think that was the key to your success, combining with a bunch of practice problems. So you took a very holistic, multi-pronged approach. And for those of you who think that if you're 20 years out of school, that if you have demanding job that requires you to basically deal with stressful situations, or have others reporting to you, and a lot is you're being relied upon, you have to wear different hats all the time, field visits, maintenance, and these are not fun. Like, I know, like operations, every day there's a problem. I don't think that there's ever a single day, depending on the size of the operation, that you walk into the office, or you basically start your day and end the day working on the same things that you had previously planned out. You have your own plan, and the day presents its own challenges. It's very stressful, and to be honest, it's not for everyone. I think you have to have a personality type where you can take a lot of stress and operate with a focus. So I personally felt that when I was doing startup and commissioning, it was great learning experience. I enjoyed it and all, but for me, like troubleshooting is not, I'm not meant for that. I like to do things, you use the word methodically. I like to do things in a methodical, systematic manner, not in a trial and error fashion. The trial and error, it doesn't work with me. So congratulations once again, Tamika, on passing this exam in your first attempt. It was great having you in the program. And also, thanks a lot for your continued confidence in my exam prep resources. You pulled the trigger, dived right into my P Power exam preparation program, and you're working through your P Power, which I think is going to be a lot more fun than FE Electrical for you, given the fact that you have uh, a power systems background. Any closing remarks?
And also Wasim, I need to highlight another two advice that you gave us. Now, never skip any sections in the specification. Even some sections are harder. You think harder, don't skip it. You learn it. I can remember. Sometimes some questions. They appeared, I mean, they surprisingly very, I mean, straightforward. The answer for even that I thought the most difficult sections for me, like computer side, the computer architecture, maybe, but small, very straightforward. The answer is so. Never ever think of skipping certain areas in the examination. That also very important. I experienced that. I didn't. I studied everything. I never skip it. Finally, the most of the difficult areas I found in the exam, no, not that difficult, because sometimes very straightforward. That doing the practice questions help you a lot in that sense. And also the second advice, another advice that you gave, also I used it. Now, at the exam, as I said earlier, Wasim, this is for me. I experienced this is very time. The time you have to manage. I don't know for the B exam how it is going to be like, but for FE exam, 110 questions, one question just less than 3 minutes. It's very challenging. Very challenging. So now but for me, exactly I managed the time. What I did was, like you said, now when I look at the question, if the how to arrive at the answer, the method, if it didn't come to my mind suddenly, or come to my mind, very quickly, I flagged it, and I went to the next question. I didn't, stay that question for long. Likewise, I think I can remember flagging like 5 or 6 questions, only that. But what happened was, now after finishing all that, and coming back, and coming to that question, my God, that was a very easy question. I can remember, very simple, because sometimes that is how our mind works. But initially you looked at that, the way you getting the answer, doesn't cross as quickly. But maybe second time you are coming, you get the answer. Likewise, I 2 or 3 questions I managed like that. So then the flagging was very important. Don't We should not stick to let's say if the answer doesn't come, or you don't stick to that, because the time is very critical. You have to flag it and go.
Awesome. Exactly. I'm really impressed how seriously you listen to all of my recommendations. I have a bunch of YouTube videos on time management as well. So those of you who are interested, feel free to check them out and make use of the flag. Don't let your ego come in the way. Don't get stuck on a problem. All problems are made equal in terms of their weightage, not in terms of their difficulty. And you can exploit that quite literally. So get done with the easy problems, put money in the bank, and the questions that are super difficult, you make sure that you deal with them after having scored points or attempted the easy ones. And that's exactly what you did in terms of your time management. It helped. So, Dhammike, thanks a lot for your time. Really appreciate it. And I look forward to doing another interview with you in a few months, very soon after you pass your P Power exam, which I'm sure you will pass in the first attempt as well.
Thank you very much, Fasil. Thank you.
Thank you. And if you want to learn more about preparation of FE Electrical and Computer exam and the P Power exam, then check out these playlists over here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon in the next video.